So, here we are. This is the all-new 2025 Scott Addict 40 road bike, and in this episode I will give you the buyer's guide for this bike, and also I will tell you, should you just go ahead and buy this bike or should you just shortlist this bike? Hello friends and welcome to another episode of Cycling Insider. So, as I was talking, Scott Addict 40 endurance road bike for the 2025 season with the retail price of $3,200 US hard-earned dollars. So we can kick off with first answering the question, who is this bike for? So you see, Scott Addict range is a proper endurance road bike. So always think about it as a bit more relaxed geometry and definitely designed to be comfortable and also for you to spend long days in the saddle. I'm a big fan of these endurance road bikes, and in my humble opinion, for the majority of the bike riders out there, these endurance road bikes are much more useful than some kind of all-in racing aero road bikes, primarily because of the nice sitting position on the bike, and also because all these bikes are designed to soak up a bit more of the road bumps and be really comfortable when you are, riding long days in the saddle. When it comes to this newest Scott Addict 40 bike, I can see that Scott is offering 3 paint schemes, which is absolutely excellent because retail price is $3,200 US dollars. So you have this beautiful Bahama yellow paint scheme, stunning paint scheme, that would definitely be my first choice. Then you also have this, what they called like iceberg green, a nice beautiful paint scheme, and then you have a pretty classical all-out kind of blacked paint scheme. So I'm very glad that Scott can offer 3 paint schemes on this bike. Again, when this bike sits in the kind of price range of $3,200 US dollars. Okay, now we can kick off with the specification of this bike and really see what are you going to get for your hard-earned money. So let's start with the frame and the fork on this bike. So this carbon fiber frame is what Scott calls HMF carbon fiber frame and also HMF carbon fiber fork. When it comes to the Scott Addict range, this is the highest level of the carbon fiber frames and forks you can get, and also this carbon fiber frame has a 5 years warranty from Scott, has a press fit bottom bracket, 12mm through axles both the front and the back, and as you can see, all the kind of cables are internally routed into this frame. Also, it has a bit of dropped seat stays, which will definitely contribute to this bike being more comfortable. All in, I have no special complaints about this carbon fiber frame and the fork. Scott has been in the business for long enough, and their HMF or even higher levels HMX carbon fiber frames are perfectly fine, so definitely no complaints here from me. Now when you look at the handlebar and the stem, so what are you getting here? So this is a very nice simple solution. So aluminum handlebar, aluminum stem, nothing is proprietary here. Both of these pieces are separate, so even in the future, if you are thinking about upgrading something or changing something, it's going to be very easy, and also it's going to be very easy to adjust your position on the bike. This is the classical solution that I always like to see, because it just gives you more opportunities in the future if anything needs changing or upgrading. Also, the cable routing, to be honest, the hydraulic lines for the disc brakes are nicely routed below the handlebar, below the stem, and then into the frame. So this is again a nice little touch, because once, if your mechanic needs to do any work on the hydraulic disc brakes or the handlebar and the stem, it's going to be very easy to sort it out. Now when you look at the saddle and the seat post, the saddle is the Syncross saddle, so an in-house brand of Scott. I can't comment on these Syncross saddles, I haven't used them, but since saddles are always a personal preference, it's going to be very easy to replace this saddle or upgrade with anything that you prefer. Now when it comes to this seat post, It is also a synchros seat post, but I'm not so sure is this a carbon fiber seat post, because it seems to me it is an aluminum seat post. So this is something definitely you need to check with your local Scott bike dealer, because if it is an aluminum seat post, I would definitely advise you to immediately upgrade to a carbon fiber seat post. And I would also be a bit disappointed if this is a aluminum seat post, because I wouldn't understand why would Scott put an aluminum seat post on this endurance road bike. Basically, when you have a nice carbon fiber seat post, it will definitely contribute to soaking up some of the road bumps, and your ride is going to be much smoother. So definitely something to think about and check with your local Scott bike dealer. Okay, now we can talk about the group set on this bike. So what are you getting for your $3,200? So in this case, everything on this bike, so shifters, front mech and the rear mech, is the Shimano's 105 Di2 electronic group set. So this is a 12-speed electronic group set from Shimano. Absolutely stunning piece of kit, works perfectly fine, and I have no complaints about the Shimano 105 Di2 group set. And also keep in mind that this is not a fully wireless group set like you would, for example, see with SRAM group set. So with Shimano's Di2 electronic group sets, so the shifters and the front mech are communicating wirelessly, and then you have a cable connection between the rear mech and the front mech. Also, the battery in this system usually sits somewhere in the seat tube, so it's a very nice, neat solution from Shimano. This is a 12-speed group set, and also in this instance, they didn't cut the corners, so as you can see, the crankset is the Shimano 105 crankset, double chainrings at the front. So these chainrings are 50-34, and also at the back you have a Shimano's 11-34 cassette, which is absolutely beautiful because you will have this excellent 1-to-1 gear ratio, and this huge cassette at the back, 11-34, will definitely allow you to climb any steep mountains, and also if you are spending long days in the saddle, it's definitely good to have this huge gear ratio and this big 11-34 cassette at the back. And I would also advise you here in the future, once when you destroy this chain and the cassette, always to upgrade to the Shimano's 12-speed cassette 11-34. Speaking about the chain, forgot to mention, this is a classical Shimano 12-speed chain. In this instance, they are using the Shimano's M line of chains, which is basically from the mountain bike world. Doesn't matter, perfectly fine, and always in the future when you are upgrading the chain, just buy any 12-speed Shimano compatible chain, it's going to be perfectly fine. Okay, speaking about the bottom bracket, this is a classical Shimano press fit bottom bracket. I'm not going to expect any special creaking noises here because the tolerances on these carbon fiber frames should be pretty decent. Now speaking about the braking system on this bike, so what are you getting? Front and the back, you will have the Shimano 105 hydraulic disc brakes, and I'm glad to see here that both the braking rotors, front and back, are 160mm braking rotors. This is exactly what you need. So you need good heat dissipation, good stopping power, and although these braking rotors are some basic Shimano RT60 series braking rotors, it doesn't matter now because the sizing of this 160mm is just excellent, and also in the future when you are upgrading the braking rotors, when you destroy them, you can always upgrade to, for example, Shimano Ultegra braking rotors, but definitely keep it 160mm both front and the back because of good heat dissipation and good stopping power. Now when you look at the wheel set on this bike, this is the Syncross wheel set, so front and back, both aluminum rims and using the Syncross own hubs, so 12mm through axles front and the back, and also at the back this Syncross hub with the seal cartridge bearings has a 3-pole system. So this is a pretty basic aluminum wheel set. Total weight is going to be approximately 1,800 grams, and this is a tubeless ready wheel set. I don't think that out of the box when you buy this bike, I don't think the tires will be tubeless setup, because these Schwalbe tires, Schwalbe 1 that are on the bike, I believe they are still set up with the tubes. And these Schwalbe tires are 32mm tires, which is absolutely excellent, a lot of air volume, and definitely a smooth bike ride. And in the future, I would advise you to keep 32mm or even to use the 34mm tires, both front and the back. But this wheel set, it is, tubeless compatible, and you will just, I think the tubeless tape is ready inside and the tubeless valves are ready, so you just need to, change the tires to be tubeless compatible, tubeless ready. But all in, considering the Schwalbe 32mm tires as it is, excellent choice, and definitely, as I said, smooth ride with a lot of air volume in these tires. But this is ultimately what you want with an endurance road bike. And I also think it's fair to just have a quick look at some of the competitors for this bike, and I will just quickly choose the Canyon Endurace CF7 Di2. This is the old version of the Canyon Endurace, currently available version on the market, and the full retail price would be $2,800. Of course, now Canyon is running some big promotions just because there are only few sizes left. But if you look at what Canyon could do for $2,800, you would get basically, again, a carbon fiber frame and fork from the Canyon. It will also come with the Shimano's 105 Di2 electronic group set, and in this instance it will be using the fulcrum aluminum wheel set with, I still believe, certain Schwalbe tires on the bike, and also Canyon's own kind of seat post, in this instance aluminum seat post, and I think the saddle in this instance might be even Selle Italia or some of the Canyon's own production saddles. But in general, you see, even the Canyon in their Endurace range, so Canyon Endurace CF7 Di2, with the same level of the equipment like the Scott Addict bike, would be retailing for $2,800. Therefore, I believe that this price point for the Scott at $3,200 is just a little bit on the high end, and I wish that Scott would set this price closer to $3,000, because then I think they would definitely have a very, very competitive offering on the market. As it is now, I would tell you, yes, go ahead and shortlist this Scott Addict 40 bike, and if you can, test ride it, but you always have to keep in mind that if you have an opportunity to buy something from the Canyon Endurace range, probably you would save yourself a lot of money. In this instance, you could be saving something like $400, which is not an insignificant amount of money. So this is always a consideration, that all these brands that are putting bikes on the market, including Scott or Trek or Specialized, there's always going to be a comparison with the Canyon, who is a direct-to-consumer brand, and yes, I'm aware that they can always offer, better pricing than a bunch of the other competitors, but other competitors have to be close to the Canyon pricing to be anywhere, competitive on the market. So, Scott Addict 40, very, very good effort from Scott. No major complaints from me. Just definitely check this seat post on the Scott bike. Is it aluminum or is it carbon fiber seat post? I hope it's carbon fiber. And $3,200, I just think that Scott can do much better. But if you can also negotiate the price of this bike down to $3,000 or $2,900, then definitely I would give it, a thumbs up to go ahead and buy it. As it is now, it is a shortlist bike in my opinion. Cheers.